Welcome to the Aveson Museum of Ancient Egypt. Thank you for joining our tour.
Today we will tell you about ancient Egypt, show you some artifacts, and show you the process of mummification.
Woo! First, we will tell you about some of the important events in ancient Egypt. Nekhen was the capital of ancient Upper Egypt. Pe was the capital of Lower Egypt. A powerful king named Menes combined Upper and Lower Egypt into one more powerful kingdom. He combined the crowns of both Upper and Lower Egypt into one crown. One of his crowns in our museum today. Here it is.
The souls of Nekhen, a falcon, and Pe, a jackal, were considered the ancestors of ancient Egypt. Here is a picture of old Nekhen and Pe. Egypt was called the gift of the Nile because the Nile River gave them life. Early settlers were attracted to the Nile River because of the fertile lands there. Menes wanted to rule over both kingdoms because he could have more people under his rule, and the kingdom put together could produce him with more goods. Khufu was another great ruler who built the Great Pyramids of Giza. Here's a picture of his pyramids that he built.
And
most of the pyramids were built over about 200-year period. Society in the Old Kingdom was divided into social classes. At the top were the pharaohs, then there were priests and nobles, then scribes and craftspeople. Most people were farmers, servants, or slaves. This is why they were able to build so many pyramids, with no modern technology in a relatively short period of time.
The pyramids were important to ancient Egypt because that is where they buried their pharaohs. Egyptian religious beliefs guided their burial practices. They believed that the Khu, which was sort of like a soul that lives on forever and leaves the body behind. They thought that the heart was where the Khu rested. So the heart was mummified with the body. The period called the New Kingdom started in 1550 BC. Queen Hatshepsut ruled at this time. She was a daughter of a pharaoh who took control when her dad died. Hatshepsut was a woman who wore men's clothes and a beard too to gain power. She made many pyramids to honor herself. The common people considered these a symbol of her power. She was a shrewd leader who sent ambassadors to all nations and went into battle with her troops. She oversaw a very prosperous time in Egypt's history, when everyone had food, clothing, and shelter. The mummies were sometimes moved from their original placements because of tomb robbers. Recently, Egyptologists figured out that an obese mummy found in an unmarked tomb was Queen Hatshepsut. They found a canopic box with Queen Hatshepsut's symbols on it in the tomb. They did not know which mummy it belonged to. They did a CT scan of the box and discovered the tooth inside. Then the CT scan of the obese mummy and discovered that it was a perfect match. So now we know that Queen Hatshepsut was a fatty. Here in our
our museum, we have the actual tooth that was found in the wooden box. Here it is.
King Tutankhamun ruled from 1341 BC to 1323. He only reigned for about 15 years, but he rejected the religious beliefs from the previous pharaoh, one of the few kings worshipped as a god. He is most famous, though, because his tomb was discovered fully intact. The Egyptians wrote in hieroglyphics, a system of writing that used a different symbol for each sound, and sometimes words, too. Gives the sounds context because they didn't use vowels. They wrote this way until 400 AD. But we were lucky, because someone made what is called a Rosetta Stone. It had 3 languages on it, including Greek. So one scientist was able to translate the hieroglyphics to Greek. This means that today we are able to translate hieroglyphics. It is similar to our writing because it uses symbols for sounds. In the Aveson Museum of Ancient Egypt, we have the actual Rosetta Stone.
Oh, the temples of Egypt were homes of gods and goddesses. Only priests and the pharaoh were allowed in there. They were made out of mud, brick, and stone because there was not much lumber in ancient Egypt. They had a lot of columns and statues. They put stories of what the pharaohs buried in there on the walls of the tombs. The stories told all of their great deeds. There were many pictures of gods and their deeds. The artwork was very detailed with mostly blue, gold, red, and black. Here's an actual mask from ancient Egypt found in a tomb. Which is our collection at Aveson Museum of Ancient Egypt. Thank you for joining us on our tour. Now we will go to our laboratory and sacrifice a pharaoh dog named Vartan for mummification. Ancient Egyptians believed that it was important to mummify the body so that the two could pass into the afterlife. The burials were also important, and that is why kings and the pharaohs were buried in elaborate tombs.